beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and The Oracle, where we engage in spiritualized conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole of The Oracle, and I am joined today as well by my amazing co-host, Warrioress artist Share RN, the Alchemist. So welcome to the Alchemist and the Oracle. Today we're doing things a little bit different. We're going to be honoring her solar return.
Yeah.
Yes, which is her birthday. So happy birthday. Put down in the comments, happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So I am going to be interviewing her, getting a little bit deeper into who she is and why she is. And with that, I wanted to do a poetic tribute to her. So I have a poem that I wrote.
In my space,
And it's entitled She Who Rose. Let me clear my throat. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
She didn't just live another year, she rose another revolution. From still to soul, from sirens to silence, she walked the line between law and liberation and chose liberation. She's worn the armor, she's followed the orders, but somewhere between the salute and the silence, she heard the whisper, "This isn't who you are." So she laid down her weapons and picked up her truth. Not all warriors fight on the battlefield. Some fight to remember themselves. She is thunder wrapped in honey, fire in meditation, the breaking and the bomb, ego alchemist, soul liberator, she who shatters illusion with grace. And today we celebrate her becoming, not because it was easy, not because it was clean, but because it was true. A life rebirth, not once, but again and again, and still she stands. So, to the woman who teaches us that pain is not punishment, it's the path to power, happy solar return, Ardor Sheer Aren. You are the storm and the stillness, the law and the liberation, the warrior and the womb of awakening. We see you, we honor you, we rise because you did.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
I couldn't decide between that and something else, but thank you. All right. So I have these broken up into segments, and she has seen the questions because that's just her personality type. She's like, I want to know what you're asking me. So she's aware of the questions, just so those of you that are curious to know. So they're broken up into segments to kind of dig into her life. So the first question is one that's going to focus on what I'm calling the warrior's origin, stories behind the armor. So the first question that I want to ask you is, before you were the warrioress and ego alchemist we see today, who were you in your own words?
I had to go back, and I thought about it, and I had to go back to when I was a child. I just think that I've always been this alchemist. I've always been this warrior, in light of transitioning energy when not so good things happen, and continuing to allow, not even knowing it at the time. We don't know, we know we're kids. Some of us are able to transcend, others not so much, but able to transcend unfortunateness and continue to enjoy my youth. So I was that child that was still and had to become very observant. Amongst us kids, we would speak, but even then, I was mostly a listener. knowing what I know now, my voice was pretty much silenced at an early age. So I it took a while for me to get close to somebody. So when I did in our neighborhood, people is when I was probably more free. Something transitioned at the age of 6, which obviously set the path at how I would probably be in the world, and never had anything bitter about it. Getting punished for something that you didn't understand um, is a very interesting shift. So I always was able to sleep. I was always able to just get out and continue to live my life with some of the close people that I grew up with. They have since transitioned at a very young age. Um, and of that clan, I'm still here and my brother is. And so I look at just the athlete that I was. I was that one. I mean, I had to master the fundamentals. I think I've always been this way, and again, knowing what I know now is that my ancestors, when they were in body, didn't really know how to how to. They didn't. What did they say? They didn't understand me. So my mother and them, how come I wasn't more like them? They understand now the challenge that I was going through trying to balance my energies, my yin and my yang. And and I was just that happy go lucky person, that kind of just loved everybody. I got it honestly through my mom. And I just had to work through some things, literally. And I did it I did it with the youthfulness of a child. I was just that embodiment of not even knowing what the word then was, that some type of forgiveness. I was really mellow. I didn't like a lot of strife in that. At the age of right about 5, I was put into my room where I had my space, and I was grateful for that. It was times as I grew through it that I was felt pretty much alone because I'd be out, and then sometimes I just didn't want to deal with certain stuff. So I didn't know that at the time, but now I know it now as I visualize myself in the room and thinking that, I was alone or something like that when I really wasn't. I just was connecting um with spirit even then. I just didn't know it. So just played, did chores, just did those things that we had to do, and we had fun. It looks like we're mostly connected more than we ever think when it comes to Saturday cartoons. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Oh man.
Saturday cartoons, chores, and once they were done, it was a freedom. We just did whatever we did. We fed ourselves because the leftovers was there. My dad was an avid fisherman. My mother went. We had neighborhood stuff and just found some joy in the midst of chaos. My father, that would come up. My father didn't have that connection with him. I don't think that he knew what he didn't know in reference to even what it would be like to raise a daughter, much less one like me. And it's just because of a couple of occurrences. So
Mm.
um learned a lot from him. I think some other things will come up later down the line, so I won't share them now. Um, that are at the end. So I was very much that level, person. Still to this day, I didn't like scars. I had a few of them. I biked. I did all those things. I played all the sports. So um, I had fun even in the midst of some unfortunate circumstances. So And I smiled through it all. I was thought provoking. Most of the time, I didn't understand why people do what they do. I don't know if we ever will till we leave body, but still and yet I tried to have some understanding, but a lot of it is through some of the conversations we had. It's the trauma that's been passed on, different things of that nature, and people don't go within to understand what they go through should not be expressed onto others. So I was kind of like that then, but now it's a really huge elevatedness now.
Mm.
I think
So,
I felt some emotions. I allowed myself to feel some emotions then, but but not as much because I just couldn't allow those to be seen. But that has changed or is changing.
so if you had to use one word to describe that, what would that word be? I know that was a question on the list.
No, I was a patient child.
So patient.
Patient,
Mm.
and I I endured. I endured. I would say that I had a lot of resilience as well. Um,
So
a lot.
resilience. I feel like resilience is one of
Yeah,
patience and endurance. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Resilience.
So the next question I have, and I think we've kind of like you've kind of alluded to some of your career that you had. But the question is, what did the military and police work awaken in you? And also on the flip side, what did it suppress?
Oh, I thought about that. Oh, let's start with the suppression part.
Oh, okay.
um, it further suppressed my voice, except for when I was doing my job. Um, it
Right.
suppressed a lot about
Hmm.
me being able to express myself because I was a very intelligent person going in. I didn't go right in after high school. I did a little bit of education. I always liked school. And so it suppressed my voice a lot, my ability to actually be who I truly was. The essence of me was still there, but to actually just walk and just be that woman that I was learning to become at the time. And much less I was still learning who I was and how I was in that manner. And of course, going into the field that I went into, in the military and obviously policing was when I went in was still um, was very much a struggle. We looked at other than the human being that I was, more as an object. Um, but I appreciate the service that I chose because I chose which unit I would go into. And at first, there was a field they wanted me to go into, but that wasn't my desire. I didn't really have to go in. I wanted to go in. And I also wanted to learn about the field that I was interested in as well. But that's not the field that they wanted for me. So eventually I got a call and I went. And so the military enhanced some of the things I had learned from my people because the people said learn. I said, I give them a little bit and I don't mind. I honor it and wear my military service proudly. But I learned a lot from my ancestors. And when we're looking at Arnon, I just perfected that. They helped me perfect that. I just perfected it.
Okay.
um, I perfected it. Um, I got to continue to meet a lot of different people from different aspects of the world. Basic training was very, very interesting to say the least. And nobody likes nobody. I like, why you yelling in my face?
I girl. I I couldn't have been in the military because of that. I remember
it ain't for
watching people in
everybody.
basic training on post. So
It
crazy.
ain't for everybody. I remember calling my mother. I ain't gonna say what, cause I just didn't get it. You know, there's some people who's freaking had siblings that actually that gave them some insight.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I was like, I don't need you in my face.
No one
I'm
told
very
you. You weren't
no,
prepared for it.
girl. I was very well trained and disciplined by my own people. Like, I don't want you in my face. Hell, I'm really funny.
They do get all in your face too. Do
So,
they? I wonder if they still have that same practice of breaking you down to
well, it's a test. I mean, it's a true
become
test
one.
of will. Oh my God. And
Yeah.
especially when you realize what you have to do in an environment of practicing and studying for war and police. And I trained for all that. I mean, it's different now. I wouldn't have never went because it wasn't something that would get you could get in vicinity, but they weren't going to let a woman kind of go in there and being police. And I trained for all that. I trained for every last bit of it. But I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't have no problem saying this. My mission was so shit. I don't want to be in nobody's damn foxhole. That shit was too deep for me. Mine was rough. It was rough. It was rough. But I know on one of our exercises, back when I was overseas, it was funny. You can get creative as hell. I was on a revetment with a guy with that going down. And I swear that dude never knew. I tell you, he didn't know. You make the stuff happen. So it actually enhanced a little bit of my creative. The mind. Oh my God, why are we not doing this? Is just one of these things. What the freak are we allowing our egos to say we're less than? When I come up, I never think about that, except it comes up every now and then. That particular thing I did this revealment overseas with this other guy who was from the States at the time, and how we manage. So it heightens a lot of skills of what I had already had internally. Um, Police work just let me connect with the humanness that I was. That is a earned respect. That does not stop any bullets or shrapnel. Okay, do you hear me? So how we it it just let me know that we make certain mistakes. And even to this day, I don't believe that certain things that people do that they ought to be jailed for them. There's a something that is going on in their world that needs to be known, needs to be dealt with, needs to be healed. So it awaked me to the true humanity that was in me and the breaks that I would like to get. Everything is not black and white. Some people roll it that way, but you have to think about you and yourself. There's some things, well, yes, my whole thing is that I thought of anybody who I helped or who had to get arrested, that they would get the help in the system, but that it wasn't set up. I didn't know what I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
I think it's there's some entities like what my friend's wife T is doing within that environment of corrections, and it's a really, really, really uplifting thing. And to let people know, regardless of what they do, they're still human. And I'm like, there's people who doing things who put people in and don't realize your humanity. So it heightened my, that skill and put me in tune with more of my humanity of me and that people were going through stuff and I could even feel it then and I was so much younger than I am now. Actually, oh, I'm not gonna say how many years it was because this is a significant year of the age I've been in body this year, and compared to when I went into the military, actually. And I was in basic training when I turned a certain age. So,
I think I can figure it out.
oh yeah, you can. Oh my God, that's really
Well, I forgot to
wild.
ask what branch of the military did you enlist in?
I am so happy, even though the people I met, the service itself and the way it's set up, was so grand that a lot of people switched services. It's just some of the people I met at my first base was something else. I was in the United States Air Force.
Ooh, and the Air Force, that was rough back then for women and then women of color too.
Yeah.
It's still, I think it's softened just little bit, but not by much.
Little
Wow.
bit, yeah.
Mm.
United States Air Force, and,
What made you choose to enlist in the Air Force versus the other branches? Just curious.
my daddy was Army, a lot of people Army, they was a little pushy, and then I didn't even see Army was a little pushy.
She was
I was like, "Wait a minute."
rebellious.
I was like, "Wait a minute, I need to chill because I was good in school. I was I had my moments, but, I pretty much did what I was supposed to do, I needed some time to to kinda have a little bit of something than
Mm-hmm.
to go into another dynamic of order. I needed a little I just wanted to spread my wings a little bit, and I didn't spread them like most people. I was still me. Go out. My family, we dance, we go to neighborhood dance and this and that. But so I don't know, Spirit just said the Air Force. I didn't even consider the Navy or the Marine Corps. I ain't consider them at all. But I
Yeah.
have a true respect. We joke with each other, but we know the bottom line. What's up? We all comrades. We all comrades, man. We
Yeah.
all comrades.
Yeah. At the end of the
And
day.
then
Yeah.
and then they added in the Coast Guard. Which they I was like, "Hey, where y'all coming here at?" So, it's a few of them. It ain't I don't run into a lot of Air Force people. The Army, man, they're dominant.
Yeah.
They're
They
dominant they're
they
a
know how to
dominant force.
recruit.
They're a dominant force.
They know how to recruit. Their recruitment game is strong.
Girl, but
But
see,
I also feel like, and maybe you can clarify this, it was a lot easier to get into the army versus some of the other legs because
yes.
they had higher standards of entry.
Well, the truth be the truth. It is what it is. But I respect them dudes too. I respect the women. There's a lot of women that are straight up Army. And then when we were overseas, we played softball, and they had some fun. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they knew how to.
And even overseas, I'm telling you, they had some fun. God love them. Some of them, like they used to jag us because they thought we had it good and all that. I'm like, well, I guess depend on the career field you choose. But
She said it, not me.
I mean, I honor what I've been through has made me even grew me into who I am and being Alchemist and understanding and then our training and understand that everything I went through has brought me to this moment and I'm still in body. I can endure any effing thing and I have. So it's something. I'm just looking and thinking and I know that they were really tripping because like we ate and our trays got picked up for us. We didn't have to take them over to the window.
Oh, okay. That's so interesting. Oh man.
Hey, yeah, I don't know. That's right up my lifestyle. So, Air
She said,
Force.
I like that. Speaks to my soul. Getting my tray picked up.
So,
I'm curious
in
to
the Air
know.
Force, and I love Eagles. So, yeah, it worked. And it was blue. I had been in blue since one of my first jobs. Blue, 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 blue.
Oh, I never thought about the eagle
The Eagle.
connection with
Eagle.
the Air Force. Huh. It spoke
Huge.
to you on a soul level.
Yeah, yeah. Probably when I didn't even know it. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you how do you feel when someone says, or what does thank you for your service mean to you? Like, you hear a lot of people say that.
Wow.
I know that
Yeah.
I've heard conflicting.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with some of our elder, and they have a different meaning behind that. And it's just that the civilians don't know. I said, you can't know, you have to educate people. And for our Vietnam vets, thank you for your service doesn't serve them as
It's
well.
insulting.
You tell them because of the way they were treated. And I didn't even know much about it. They didn't even really speak about this war much, at least not here where I was at. And the parents, they kind of just kept it on the low. We knew a little bit, but not much. I just know they wasn't treated well. I remember seeing somewhere people was getting spit at and all kind of stuff that I thought was awful. And so I've learned from them and they were never welcome back home. So I just told somebody the other day, if you run into a Vietnam veteran, tell them welcome home. I mean it, welcome home. For us, most people appreciate that we've served and for their freedom. And I've had another conversation, and so I was telling people kind of something, and then it kind of goes by the wayside. So what I do is I honor them and I say thank you, in honor for them thanking me. But you get with some of our older vets,
Yeah,
it's kind
they're
of different. Yeah.
from what
Yeah, but people kind of just respect what we did, and so we honor them. And then the thing is to educate people. Civilians they don't know what they don't know. Our
yeah,
world for me,
exactly.
like the Air Force, even though I trained for war and being law enforcement was, that was definitely. We had a few other services who got to train, with some of the guns, but that wasn't their first. They will be augments, in certain war type situations. But oh God, before I use my train of thought, I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't like when that happens. Um, I
Yeah,
forgot.
because it wasn't meant to be spoken in this setting.
I guess. Um,
I know it
to
upsets you when you do that. When that happens, you get so upset.
um, it was something that I thought was pretty profound to share with the public here. I mean, to to understand some things um about that level in that service and to get on. We have people who augmented things of that nature, but to train to understand that. I remember I had a civilian who said something because I spent a lot of time in another state traveling back and forth to my hometown here, and this person has said something about one of our senators who was former military. And they said something that they didn't understand about them. I'm just going to be point blank about them shooting some job or something like that. And it really wasn't honoring him and his veteran status because they didn't know what the freak they were talking about. And so it had something to do because what you don't understand is the reason why we could never be without a militia, because everybody's trying to control something, this and that, is that people will try to hurt us. They know, you know, how we feel about certain people within our humanity, women, children, things of that nature, and they will sacrifice their people to hurt us. They will, wow, this is saying a lot, but it's very true. But matter of fact, it doesn't matter because the media, they've let the media in on so much stuff that don't even matter now. But I don't think the media should be in on that so much because of the understanding of people not knowing that somebody will strap a child or a woman or somebody and take out a whole or take out us or try to take out our base. So and they'll sacrifice them. And so without you knowing it, I had to really educate this certain individual where I was working at my other place as a law enforcement officer, and I had to quiet that noise. I couldn't allow it. That's the time that I did speak up. And whether, regardless to who this particular politician was, which I'm not going to say the name, um, that was an honor to educate on that level and tell the truth of the matter before you start speaking about something that you don't know or you don't understand. That has to be done in the field. It's
Mm,
and that some of these veterans have to live with. Some of us do very
yeah.
well. Some other veterans do very well. They see people losing limbs and all this and they have what they call
Survivor's
survive
remorse.
that there you go. And so I tell my vets, I said, let me tell you this. I said, the people who we love that we lost want us to live our best lives. Because what if it was you? So you're still here and they want you to live their best lives because it'd be you too. And I'm pretty sure that that's not what they would want for you. This is not what they want for you. And they know that you honor them. And if anybody died in your arms and did that, they know that you were there. And to understand the type of work or type of stuff or connecting with spirit, to know that people say when you're dead, you're gone. That ain't true. That's a myth. That's a lie. I can tell you that to be that's not a truth. So they're known, and even when people are still in body, maybe comatized, their spirit still lives, their spirit still hears. And so, it's that thing. So, and I've helped somebody understand that live your best life for the one that you honor and for the one that you serve with and for the one that lost their life. Because that's what they would want for you. I know that to be true.
Mm.
Sometimes we don't know what we know them because we have we are so involved in the domestication of the world and what we think ought to be and how we all live, but no, that's not it. Live your best life in honor of someone. That's what I'm working on when you're trying to get rid of limiting beliefs and stuff like that. So military, it's an indefinite, has its calamity, but it's also a humanness involved, you know. And once you connect with that, the camaraderie, like I said, we can joke and go on, but we know the essence of the basis of us and how we serve. I know the Army said, I couldn't wait to see the plane. I couldn't wait to see the Air Force. I couldn't wait I said, I know you did. And vice versa. It's just a craziness. So it's yeah, so there was a lot to get from it. My first base was a different story, except for one chief I know. One of my guys, I'll never forget his name. I won't say it here, but he was a master sergeant who got to know me for who I was. He was a cool dude. And then I went overseas. Got the hell out. Got out of the country.
So where have you been stationed? I'm always curious to hear where people have been stationed.
Some people have been stationed more than me. I mean, I was at Air Training Command here in Illinois. And then I went over to Korea, South Korea, at
I
a
think
remote base.
everybody always ends up in Korea. it's,
Yeah, I
it's a
put in for a
great,
short tour of duty, and I ended
uh,
up in Kunsan, Korea, surrounded by the Yellow Sea, worked with Korean rock guards. And they funny, I
Korean
got
rock
yeah,
art.
they had one of their institutions in our base, their little thing, and we had an exercise, and I got to hang out with them. Them boys can definitely play some ping pong. They ain't no joke.
Oh, yeah,
They ain't
they
no
have
joke.
ping pong tournaments and things like that on a whole nother level over in Korea.
Now we had a level on our base.
Crazy to see.
I was able to work two gates with them. There's one they couldn't work, and then they had one that sat over there, but they don't play. If you don't signal them within a certain amount of time, they don't play. They don't play. So we had one on the back, one had the long little stuff, and the Yellow Sea came up to our establishment. And so the atmosphere over there is a little different than the United States. That's why people stay overseas.
Yes. Yes.
There ain't no nonsense over there. It's just straight. It's straight. Get to the point. Let's celebrate. Let's have some fun. Let's dance a little. If you drink a little. But for the most part, it's a whole different
Let me ask you this.
atmosphere.
Would you is you know, I'm an army brat. I grew up like two generations deep.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel like there was an honoring of your humanity that you experienced being overseas versus here in the States?
Yes.
I always find that so curious
Yes.
when Black people express that.
Yes.
And it kind of goes back to the question about um I was asking you about when someone says like thank you for your service, what does that mean to you? It's kind of triggering in such an interesting way because for a lot of them, especially during the Vietnam War, a lot of them they were drafted. They had no choice.
Yes. Yes. That right there. That right there. And
And
so when they were dogged out coming home and treated, oh my.
yeah,
And now that I'm so connected,
horrible.
just the energy, not even knowing because I was very, very young. So it was something, it's something just to hear them talk. Some more others, some more bubbly, some more others that set it in. But like I said, once you come, you have to become more in the present moment and need to heal from what you saw because there's nothing much that you could have done. And other than what you did do, and you have to honor it, they have to honor that. But like I said, welcome home. They were never welcomed home. So it's not so much thing rather than welcoming them back to a country that dismissed them. And they, like you said, most of those people were drafted.
Yeah,
There was a lot of people that were drafted to the Korean War and a whole bunch of other wars for that matter. I think my father was drafted
I'm
into
sure he was.
and preparing for a Korean War.
Oh man, the
Um
Korean War stories are
I
horrible.
mean, that's still a conflict. So I have my tour duty, I have this, and I served in that wartime. We want to talk about Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So and looking at that, and so I think that the essence of me came out in there, and they didn't. I don't think I was understood because I wasn't that person that was like. Matter of fact, more women need to be in certain career fields than not, um because of the not because there ain't nothing weak about a woman that has a baby, okay? And even if you didn't, ain't nothing
That
weak
has a
about a woman.
cycle.
Well, that too.
Let's start
So
there.
so that is interesting. So I think I became awakened a lot. I was very intuitive from way back. um I mean, I saved a building. I got cool. I saved a building from being burned over there. Dealt with a accident with a local national
Wait,
there
where is this
in
in
Korea at
Korea?
the
Okay.
base I was at. And so the Air Force, I mean, was like a regular world inside a world. The
Yeah.
Army was a little bit different. They still had that, but we're just like the city of Cleveland or the city of Atlanta or this and that, all in this range. And then I didn't know half of the jobs that were available that could have been winning. Everybody like teacher, doctor, cop, yada yada, fire person, all this. And there's some other really awesome freaking jobs um that you can train for that kind of are pretty what's the word I want? Abundant. Or I had another word, it just slipped me. I hate when that stuff happens. Stuff just come out very fluent, would provide very good, lifestyle depending on what you like. So yeah, this journey is hard to express, mine. I'm keeping it, pretty, energetic considering what I endured in some
Yeah.
aspects by the hands of other people. But yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah, I danced a lot. We danced a lot overseas too. Danced my butt off.
Yeah.
That was my
Music and
cardio.
dancing. Music, dancing, cigarettes, and alcohol were the things that
Yeah. The cigarettes was just that was rough on the sister. That was rough on the sister. Oh my, I remember one of my buddies there.
did. I don't know if they still give them
Mm,
away free
uh,
nowadays.
uh,
I'm sure you
I'm pretty
it's at
feeling
a
smoke
very
thrill.
deeply discounted rate, even if you do pay.
What was so messed up and basic, okay? what was so messed up? Okay, yeah, they were able to smoke. Our dorms were, I mean, we were immaculate. So, um, they got breaks. If you didn't smoke, people got extra breaks for smoking. I'm like,
Oh.
oh, no, 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 this ain't cool at all. Like, I'm going down, give me one. Play, 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 play. Girl, no, that ain't cool at all. I'm like, I don't smoke that stuff. I had, but I mean that you do stuff to try to be in the in crowd, whatever. That stuff is toxic. It is more toxic today than it was. But with that being said, yeah, it's very intuitive. I mean, I kept a burden for building. I mean, I was driving a CJ4 Jeep. I did a lot of stuff, learned how to really got into the stick then and deucing the quarters and a Humvee is a Humvee. This stuff they got on the street, that Humvee ain't got no shocks like these cars they got here. That's a rough vehicle.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
a rough vehicle to be in. So you gotta be a tough. You gotta be tough, you have to be. So yeah, it enhanced or let me know a little bit of stuff, and then sometimes we forget, our innateness. I know later down in the line, my chief realized, my gift. So yeah, my gift. Yep, no car
Got
stolen on my time.
Okay. Okay. So, we're gonna go into the breaking point, pain as the portal section. This will likely be a two-part interview, fair warning. Which I think she'll be okay with. So the next question I have for you is, was there a specific moment or a slow unraveling that initiated your spiritual journey?
No, I think it was initiated as a child.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um,
Why do you say why that time frame for
because
you?
because of the environment, because of certain circumstances that happened when I was a child. And the only way that I see that I was able to continue to be the spirited child that I was because of the connection that was already within my very beingness, my very soul. I had to look at that question a couple times, and it went back to it. It brought me back to childhood.
So
I
it was
mean, I
specific
had
for you, is what you're saying. It wasn't like a slow kind of progression. Like you're able to pinpoint a specific moment and it was for you in your childhood, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, even there's times in school when I look at the summers and we eventually was a certain age when we got our fox terrier Chihuahua. And over the years, I remember spending time with just her. I had that time. I liked it, the quietness of the house when everybody was gone. That peacefulness, even though we had a lot of fun
It's the
with our
silence.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to talk to her, sit on her sometimes, had to go to the bathroom. I didn't want to move because she was so comfortable. I used to talk to that dog. So, um,
That makes so
miss
much
that little
sense. What
voice
you're
too.
saying is that, like, for you, because I do feel like for some people, the journey has always been there.
Yeah,
And
just
you like the
unrecognized.
silence, that you speak of the silence, and you kind of talked about that the last episode of the importance of silence and how it allows you to connect to your spiritualized self. And then, one thing about animals, I feel like animals are definitely like from the angelic realm, and they can help us just tune just energetically on such a soul level. So I
It's
think that's such a
interesting.
beautiful story of that you kind of shared, of like you and the dog and being in silence as a child just
I
soothed
can,
you.
yeah, I mean, I look at this at the dog and all this going on, and now that the ego is at a certain stage, it's like, and it's challenging. We get to adulthood, and it's this battle to be still.
Yeah.
Now I be in silence, but it's normally I'm normally walking around here doing some this and that, unless I catch a program. Watching a program ain't silence, it's just being still, but it ain't in silence.
Not at all. Not at
The
all.
ego would like me to believe so. Just probably because of the downloads. But I had two really cool. I had another cat who was very intuitive. I never thought I'd own a cat, but now people scare them. They scare them because they are such dogs. They cool. They are such spiritual connect. They are such spiritual beings. They people think just a human. No, they're a being. um, and they are so connected. This particular cat I had when I was rooming with someone was so, oh my God, that was my boy. Oh my goodness. Didn't even know he was gonna get him. He found him somewhere and he ended up in the garage. It's a thing, I didn't roll him over. He didn't get rolled over by her, but I was like, coming in, Bill decided to keep him, and it took me a while after this certain persons come that he acted a certain way when a certain person came over, 1515, came over. and and I didn't know till after I realized somebody was coming to be nosy. and and it had happened another time, and I was like, "Oh my God." And when somebody else came, now that we had a lot over, he didn't do that. He identified people who were not good in their spirit or their reasons for coming. And then he'd run around, and when they left, he stopped. Then someone had brought a dog over, mess up as a beanbag. I could never get my hands on a red, true bag that had beans in it that actually molds to your body. And red is one of my favorite colors. It was my childhood color. Power color. If I had on red, there was a certain demeanor, different demeanor. I realized after being, that quiet person. But so yeah, it was there. And then my last baby who I had of I'm just gonna give her 20 years in body, um, was such a beautiful, loving spirit. She could tell people too, she would come down with certain people if their energy was right. But the other one, yeah, when I realized that, there's somebody I actually, and I've never done this. I had to get them out of my house. Out of our
Mm.
house. I'm like, you got to go, dude. You got to go. And not only that, something was being done that shouldn't have been done. And so you got to go. And so, and then they stopped running around. So I think it's very protective. And so what people don't understand and people have that, then I realized that maybe people had done something with the cat and then they got their behinds back. And then you got a problem with them because you had no business treating them a certain kind of way when they fight back. That's my thought. And I heard of something that I'm not going to share on here about somebody who did it. My daddy didn't like them. So I'm like, I don't know what happened down. I don't know what happened, but they are very popular. I'm like, because they're mysterious. So am I. So I just call myself incognito. Like the incognito.
I,
So
I love the energy of cats.
yes.
They're I think cats are given permission to be as they are, and dogs are usually trained to be as they're told to be.
More so, but I did train mine. They
But
know
it's
they know right
just
from wrong.
different. They
It's
do, but
different. It's different.
it's just different. I think there's just a
They're
different
so independent and
allowance of them to
yes.
be
Yes.
as they are,
Yes.
in some capacity. I think it does depend on who they're around and the environment
Yeah,
they're in, but they
agreed.
are very soul led beings for sure.
There's more cats around here. They'll come to you and they know not when to come, but they'll come to you. Normally, my babies, if I call them, they come, but sometimes they were like, well, let me think about
They don't do anything they don't
it.
want to do.
But most of the time, if I call, they would come. And Queen Elizabeth was such a trip. She was just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. She just tolerated me. So,
She
yeah.
tolerated you. You were her ward. Like, fine. Let me go check on how she's doing.
That was my baby. That was my ride or die. All of them have been very special. I had a Persian. Um, he was King Caesar the first. And ended up, yeah. He was interesting. He knew he was good looking because we let him know so. So when he came from the groomers, he ain't like to go.
You
He
ever
knew
say
it was
your
invited,
cat
but
went
they
to the
kept him.
groomers? Wow.
Mhm. I did most of them, but it's time that he had to go. So he had a special relationship with this place down outside the base where I was stationed out in the Midwest, headquarters SAC at the time. And yep. And they learned him. I could only take Queen Elizabeth. Most of the time, I had to do her. He didn't mind the blow dryer, scared the crap out of her. She ain't like all that, and so she had been a couple of times, and I had to tell her, and I had to stay with her, and she just scattered. I said, "No, don't blow dry. Just put her in and let the thing wind on her." That scared the crap out of my child. My God. So I
Do you know
primarily did
why?
her.
Do you know why though? I don't think humans understand why
Caesar was okay with it though, but
animals like they don't like because it's
or
on their
vacuum cleaners
head.
either. Mhm.
It they hear they have a sensitivity in their ears. And I think it also goes back to animals have different chakras that we don't have. And so they have a brachial chakra that's like in their head. And
Mhm.
that brachial chakra is what gives them a sense of like earthly, grounded, loving connection. So if you got like a blow dryer coming at your head, it's messing with your their
Oh
chakras and their
God.
ears, and I don't even like the sound of it. And it's a
So
high powered dryer, right?
it is. Yeah. Oh God, yes. Caesar, I guess, kind of how, and then they end up putting you, and then they blow it on you till you get dry, this and that. Then they come and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And but they knew he was a kind of biter, not bad, but he got used to it, and so they kept him. But I think I took her one, and that first time I'm like, oh no, blow dries, baby. But most of the time I did her. I did her. I washed her, did the combing and things of that nature.
Did you blow
Uh,
dryer?
oh
You use a
heck you
blow?
no. I just used the
Oh,
towel. Oh heck you know. I never blow dry her ever. That wasn't even a consideration. And
what
I
would
didn't know
she
they
do?
did it because obviously Caesar must have handled it fine. But basically they don't like water. There's very few of them that you'll find where the cat like to get in the shower with people. That's a rarity. I'm telling you, they just like
I
cleaning
see it
their own
happen
self.
all the time.
They just
It's the
clean their own
craziest
self.
thing that some cats love being in the water.
Yeah, so yeah, they're very into it. So I kind of had that connection and that awareness and that knowledge.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So, how would you say your understanding of power shift as you move from enforcement to embodiment? Because you went from enforcement in your military career and then as a police officer. Um,
Well, I left because I was looking to be that because of circumstances that happened to my family, circumstances that happened to me before I went in. Is one of the reasons, and I had wrote a little thing about why I had became or had chose to want to be in that career field of law enforcement. I mean, there was times I didn't tell anybody because of the stigma on it, but no, I know who I am, and why, and I honor who I was because it was an earned respect and an earned experience, and to understand, the essence of me and what we go through. I was just talking with a retired one here in town, and he had ran up on somebody and didn't find out that this person was still hurting, and they were like, my mom passed. And so at the time he thought, well, it was just like then. And so the conversation we had, he had an aha moment, our humanness, and come to find out he was still grieving after 4 years. I know somebody who's still grieving now. That's really close to me. Tied to me. And and we were talking, and I'm like, yeah, people are dealing with some stuff that needs to, how to heal, and know that just because they're gone, they're still here. Yes, we want to see somebody in body, but sometimes they won't be in body. I mean, it's hard for me. I still miss my mama. I miss a lot of people, actually. I miss my baby girls. I miss that knucklehead Caesar. I miss them. I miss I miss the other one, person. I miss them. Those four-legged babies. Never thought I'd have them. I like them. They will. You can train them as well. You can actually walk them on a leash, and there's certain, for cats, just to go back a little bit, there's certain species that will automatically walk with you on a harness without a problem because they need to get that energy out. And people, before they adopt or get a certain breed, they need to learn to breed. Because I learned a
Yeah.
lot after Queen Elizabeth. I learned a lot from Jackson Galaxy, calling the cat daddy. But I haven't caught his episodes on him, and I learned a lot about what you have to have, and how certain cats, if there's other ones around, they'll start marking because they're territorial too. Dogs ain't the only one that mark up stuff, okay?
We do
Especially
it
if
as
they
humans in our own way.
yeah, yeah, especially if they ain't been neutered, especially cats. But
Mm,
but I found that I was never thought, I was above or anything or somebody. You have that power, but power has to be earned, and you have to respect any type of power that you may have on you. So it was never that for me, because of enforcement, because I was primarily that career, but I also have a secondary career, which that no one knows. It was dentistry. And in that, you learn in wartime conditions to be like a backup med tech or something, learn about burns, learn about this, learn about that. And so you're serving people. So it's a service and an understanding, and you have to come from a place, from your heart space, to connect with somebody. It's just like walking up on a car. That traffic stops are the most dangerous stop you can make. People just don't realize that it's the most dangerous way you could go. You know what's going on, and how you approach it. People can see you. They be looking side view mirror. They be looking.
mhm. I know I
You
do.
know,
I
and
would.
how you
Yeah.
approach it and your attitude. Yeah, you need to protect yourself, but you don't have to come with a funky attitude. I'm just telling you. You come, understand this, and you can change the tone. And people know when they done wrong or messed up. We all done it. We all go to speed limit. Shit, that's easy. Excuse my expression. Um, it's easy to do. I mean, it's just stuff. I mean, I had something happen, and and it was, they were not in the right. When I was stopped and find out, I said, we're human. We're human. We're human. On your job, you have to understand your humanness in it. And people make mistakes. You ain't there to like that. I'm sure you make them all the time. So we have to look at that. So in embodiment, it's just that I've always kind of cared, um, about another person. But now when you look at it, it means you can't really stand in the ego self like that all the time, or be superior. People pick up on that energy like a mug, and their energy change. I'm telling you, like how somebody energy you have to shift, because I'm somebody you have to should you have to come with that, and then people, they know they'd be more accepting to take it than not the punishment than to fight it and resist it. I'm just saying. But yeah, you don't need to come up there a certain kind of way. You need to be firm and stern, but you can be kind in the process of doing it, which will change the shift of the energy. You don't know somebody that lost a wife, lost a kid. Some of them lost everything and probably don't give a crap. And then they'll probably shoot you without a thought and don't mind the consequences because they think they done lost everything. That's just something I know. I'm just saying. So to go to the embodiment is the same embodiment. It just looks like that, I have just grown into more of it and honoring it and respecting whose I am and whose I am and who I'm becoming and who I am re-embodying. Also grieving the person that I am no longer going to be. I mean, I'll still be the essence of myself, but I'll be more of it. It's just that I can no longer live in the mask and in the coverings anymore of protection because I'm already protected. I'm protected by my spirit team, by Mother Father God Creator Source, who is the essence that gives me breath. That's the one I connect with. And so I embody the very spiritual being that I am and the heightened one that I'm becoming to raise the vibration of the planet and to raise the vibration of everybody. We need to slow down. We need to slow down. We need to be with ourselves. We don't like it. And you got another question coming up about that, which a compass is all encompassing that same thing. But it's just like 2020. We didn't know what to do because we had to be still.
Some of us.
Some of us, yeah. Some of us. Not all of us. I mean, I still went outside. And I could tell you that I knew there was something was going on.
What? Something was
I could
going
tell I
on
knew something
outside?
was going on. Yeah. Yeah. Even in the air. The air was different. Because I'm like, why can't I walk outside? I'm walking outside. This don't make no sense. I did love that the interstate was free when I got on it, that there wasn't anybody.
That was so weird.
That was
It was
all so
like,
crazy.
it felt you were waiting for the zombies to pop out,
Oh, that was
especially here in
crazy. I'm
Atlanta.
visualizing it now. I was on the interstate, not another car. It's like, oh Lord.
The animals started walking on the interstate. Just to give you
Yes,
context, I'm in Atlanta. Animals
it's
were
busy there.
walking on the interstate. There was no cars. What
They
world?
like, are we home again?
There were some
Truly.
cars, like,
Yeah,
but hardly any.
yeah.
It
There
was
was it
the
was it was
world
hardly
just stopped.
any.
Yeah. Huh.
It was insane. I mean, except for the grocery store shopping, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's where all the people were.
So we're connected more than not. And if we could see each other instead of being so and condemning and oh my gracious, I mean, stuff is going to happen to us, but it doesn't have to be at the detriment that it is. And I don't know why we have to do stuff to get, and money is fine, but greed, that's a whole nother animal. So no, we need to come more, within into ourselves because as one of my colleagues said, who is no longer in body, unfortunately, because he was a cool cat, Kim McKee, he used to say, money don't hurt nobody, you can set it on the table. He said, you can give it to me, you sit on the table, don't hurt nobody. Guns don't hurt nobody, we hurt people. Target shooting, hey, that's cool, but when you targeting somebody else, that's a problem. Um, so yeah, we need to come more into our true and sit with ourselves and go through the work, do the work. Um, And we'll talk about the other part later on down the line, what has to do with that, shadow side.
Yeah.
Continue to do that work. It's the ego will resist it though.
So we are definitely going to be continuing this conversation into the next episode. So be sure that you have subscribed to the channel so you can receive notifications for that. I think we got almost halfway there. I think, there was no strict structure to follow. I just wanted to crack you open and get you in that flow state of expression, and so people can get a greater sense of of you. I think it's
I
just a
appreciate that.
tiny
I
little
appreciate
drop
that.
in the bucket. It's tiny because we could have gone
Yeah, I
really deep.
mean, well, yeah, with that thing I just did to my grandma, that's just about an experience. It's just the truth. This is the real. This my story ain't for just me. So I realize that from other people, maybe that might be the case. I'm cool with it now because I just want people to live the best lives. Because now, and I
Hmm.
want you to do it earlier than not. That's to be in the very essence of you, and what that might feel like, and to be able to describe it to you, and and to be okay with whom you are, because it really hurts when you're not.
Mm.
Yeah, that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for being in conversation with me, Warriors Artist Share RN. And
Thank you
those of
for the
you
opportunity.
listening, thanks for saying yes to this, because you could have been like, I don't know about this.
I hope it helped. I hope you laugh too. Because I'm laughing. I don't know. It is what it is, right? Laugh and grow.
It is what it is, and it is what you don't. It's
Grow
also
into
not
the
as much as
lily.
you think it is at the same time.
Yeah. Grow
Yeah,
into the
but
lily, the rose, the sunflower that you are. Grow, 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 grow.
the sun just like bursted through my window. So do as she says. All right, so we're going to continue this conversation in the next episode. And I don't even know like what to say. Well, what's the call to action? What do you want the people to comment down below
Um,
if you had to choose?
Comment how you feel you might be walking, in your essence right now, or whether you know whether or not you are or not. It's okay either way.
Mm.
And we'll have some more to share to maybe get you closer to that.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and we both hope to see you in the next episode. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. We really do appreciate you. And share this video.
Please.
We want to grow this channel. We want to get the message out to people, because through conversation is inspiration, and when you're inspired
Yes.
you become empowered. On that,
Yes. Yes.
bye guys, thanks for watching.
Peace.